And welcome to Be the Voice. The focus of the show is to share best practices from thought leaders in the B Corp community. Each week, we'll feature a topic that falls into one of three categories: people, how to align people behind your organization's vision and mission; process, so it's everything to do with optimizing the processes connected to certification or recertification; and finally, challenges. How do we overcome the major challenges that are coming our way? So each week, we'll begin with a short micro training, followed by an extended amount of time for audience engagement. So today, I'm excited to welcome Amelia Al to the stage. Amelia is a director at the Builders Fund. It's a private equity firm focused on high growth companies that also have a focus on purpose. Amelia also serves as a board member for Bay Area, and she guides our team with her vision for collective action. One of her superpowers is the ability to bring people together and elevate the conversation around racial equity, climate justice, and the stakeholder economy. Today, you can count on her to lead a conversation around these three topics. And I have one question for you, Amelia. What makes you so passionate about collective action?
Thank you, Anthony. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here today, and I'm really passionate about collective action because it acknowledges the systemic nature of the challenges that we're facing currently. We are in a poly crisis, as some folks are referring to it. Economically, socially, environmentally, these intersecting crises they can feel huge and intractable, and it can feel discouraging to think about where can I begin. Collective action is an answer to that question of where can we begin. And it reminds me, and it reminds all of us that we are better off working together versus working individually or working in isolation. As just one person or just as one company, there's only so far that we can go. But when we collaborate together to work more as a group and to work outside of the confines of our companies, we can address systemic issues collaboratively. So that's what I'm here to share a little bit more about today. My plan for this micro training is to talk about what is collective action and define it for folks. Then to talk about how does collective action fit into the new B Corp standards, which companies are starting to certify and recertify under this year. Then I'll share an example of one example of collective action in California that is happening right now. And finally, I will invite all of you to get started in participating in collective action, and I have ways for you to engage. So, are we ready to go, Anthony?
Take it away.
Okay, thank you. So what is collective action? Collective action is a way for businesses to think beyond their operations and just their internal value chain in order to support a healthy planet and healthy communities broadly. So think about things like policy advocacy, peer-led working groups, mentorship across your industry, and thought leadership, anything that is helping to move the needle in a broader sense. Be Local Bay Area, our nonprofit board, is currently working with a committee of volunteers to design actions that B Corps can take to move the needle systemically right now. So we're working with a committee of local businesses and nonprofits that includes folks from Premiums for the Planet, Hanson Bridget Law Firm, and Haifa Collective. And we're putting together on our website a list of collective actions for businesses to take. All of these actions that we are crowdsourcing currently will be in support of B Lab's pillars of change. And there are three pillars of change that B Lab has set as kind of the guidance posts for the direction that the B Corp movement is pushing towards. And some of you may be familiar with those. For those that are not, we're talking about climate justice, racial equity, and the stakeholder economy. So every collective action that we are putting forward on the Be Local Bay Area website, again, will be moving towards and in support of one of those three pillars of change. And companies that participate in collective action will be basically, you'll be preparing yourself to certify or recertify under the new B Corp standards, which again are getting rolled out this year. So I want to talk a little bit about the new standard requirements for those that are not familiar. We're moving to a system of reaching a certain minimum threshold across a number of categories versus getting a minimum point amount, which is the current B Corp certification process. So under the new standard, there's a category that every company will have to reach a bare minimum of that's called government affairs and collective action. And so this is going to be a requirement for all B Corps moving forward under the new standard. So this applies broadly to everyone. Everybody should be caring about this and talking about this. According to B Lab and the new standards, the purpose of this category is acting beyond one's own enterprise in order to have a broader systemic impact. That's what I was kind of speaking to at the start of this session. Why do we care? Why do I care about collective action? Why should you care about it? It's because we're talking about systems impact and the ripple effects that we can have when we work outside of just our operations and value chain. So we have to embrace the role of influencing and supporting collective solutions that are pursuing social and environmental topics. And that is the impetus behind this new standard requirement. There are three sections under government affairs and collective action in the new standard. One relates to lobbying, and that will not necessarily be applicable to every company, depending on size and engagement. One relates to transparency around taxation. And then the last one relates, which is the most relevant for us today, relates to actions that the company takes with other stakeholders to increase positive collective social and/or environmental impacts, whether it's in policy, in industry, or across your business community in general. And so that subtopic under this new standard requirement is the one that is most relevant to the work that Be Local Bay Area is leading around collective action. So again, just to reiterate, we're looking at actions that a company takes across their industry at the policy level or across like a working group in their business community to move the needle on environmental and social issues. To provide an example of how this is playing out right now in California, I want to talk about the way some California companies, B Corps specifically, have been engaging around state legislation to ensure compliance with the climate disclosure regulations. So this is for those maybe policy nerds who are watching. This is California Bill SB 253 and 261. And there is a group of California B Corp accounting firms that are partnering with the Big Four accounting firms, Cal CPA, the AICPA, which is the Association of International CPAs, and then CARB. CARB is the California Air Resources Board. So there's this group of, it's, multi-stakeholder group that's been collaborating to help build out the implementation of this California legislation, again, focused on ensuring compliance for climate disclosure regulations. When the Senate bills were originally introduced, the legislators were having trouble getting the bills passed. There was some unclear language. Things weren't really moving forward. And so Cal CPA was kind of took leadership here and reached out to Sensiva, which is a local B Corp accounting firm here in the Bay Area, and asked them to rally some other B Corp accounting firms to help make suggestions to the legislator's office around ways to reword the bill, address the concerns, and overall make the bill stronger, more compelling. And so thus formed this working group. And this group is coming together, leaders across the industry, the accounting industry. They're focused on an external goal that has a very clear climate justice focus of implementing these climate disclosure laws. And they're working to advocate for this bill originally to get passed and now to get implemented well. So the group now has a name. It's referred to as the California Sustainability Working Group. And yeah, it includes representatives from the big four accounting firms, the CARB accounting firms, and then the CARB and then the B Corp accounting firms. So that's Sensiva, Armanino, and BPM. And in 2023, the new bills were passed. Bills 253 and 261 were passed in the California legislature, and now CARB is soliciting public feedback on how to implement and asking questions around how are we going to implement this. And so this group, the California Sustainability Working Group, is drafting a letter in response. So this provides a great example of the kind of collaboration and execution that we're talking about when we're describing collective action. It's like, again, groups, businesses coming together to do advocacy work, to engage with their local lawmakers, to push forward a broader agenda of responsible climate legislation across the state. So it's really exciting to see and know that this kind of thing is happening already. And our goal, again, on the Be Local Bay Area board is to help facilitate more of this type of action. So how can you get involved as a local B Corp in the Bay Area? Luckily, we have a great action coming up that folks can participate in. It's our very first call to action this year, and it's to support the California Businesses for Climate Justice in passing the Make Polluters Pay bill. So the California Businesses for Climate Justice Coalition is a newly formed network that is working to advance climate crisis solutions. This year, the coalition's priority is passing legislation that requires companies that are most responsible for the climate crisis to pay for the environmental damage that they've caused. So you can read from that big oil and gas being required to pay for environmental destruction and devastation that's left in the wake of their operations. So this coalition is brand new, like I said, but it's formed and kind of modeled after a similar business coalition that has been working in New York to pass similar legislation. And they were successful. The governor just signed that legislation into law a month or two ago. And now on the West Coast, we're working to make polluters pay. So what you can do is come to the launch event that's sponsored by our board, Be Local Bay Area, by B Lab, and the coalition, California Businesses for Climate Justice. We will be hosting our event in Oakland on March 19th, so just in a couple of weeks here. And you can get more information at this event on how you can engage. Specifically, there are two main actions for companies to take. One is signing on to the letter to Make Polluters Pay. So have your business sign on in support of this legislation. And the second is joining us in Sacramento at the state capitol on April 29th this year for a day of training, networking, and advocacy. So we'll be organizing a lobby day for folks to come. And I have been told, a very powerful, positive experience, especially on this theme of collective action, to actually show up with other folks from different purpose-driven businesses and talk to your legislators and have that physical experience of fighting for climate justice at our state level. So again, please come if you are a local B Corp employee. I will drop the link to the event that we're hosting on March 19th here in the Bay Area. You can sign up for tickets. The event will be capped, so please RSVP soon if you want to join us. And there you will get more information on how to support further the work of climate justice in the Bay Area, as well as other collective actions that we'll be launching this year.